Hey guys, I'll be making a 2024 presidential election prediction, this time between incumbent President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Both of these individuals will be running for a second term in the White House. Joe Biden a second consecutive term, and of course Donald Trump a second non-consecutive term, as of course he lost the 2020 presidential election. So taking a look at the betting odds right now for the 2024 nomination, Donald Trump is no longer the frontrunner. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is now the frontrunner. Many Republicans are very happy with how he dealt with COVID-19 during his time as governor of the state of Florida over the last couple of months, and Ron DeSantis will be up for re-election in 2022, which I think is something that he has to win. I really don't see him being the nominee if he cannot win his re-election campaign in 2022. He only won the governorship in 2018 by less than 1%, so definitely it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for Ron DeSantis, but currently he is who many Republicans favor over Donald Trump. He is a big Trump supporter and a big supporter of letting people do what they want during COVID-19 and very against the lockdowns and restrictions. Donald Trump right now is only in second. He had been in first for a very, very long time, but he has since been overtaken by Ron DeSantis, while Nikki Haley, her numbers have dropped quite a bit recently as well. They basically stayed at around 10 cents per share, but definitely Donald Trump still has a very good chance at winning the nomination in 2024. And as for Joe Biden in the Democratic nomination, he is currently in second under Kamala Harris. He is followed by AOC and Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton. But really, these bottom three have no chance. They're all just too old. Warren would be 74. Bernie would be in his 80s. Hillary Clinton would also be almost in her 80s. So, for these individuals, their age is going to be an issue. For AOC, Pete Buttigieg, they're just really young and really don't have, as much experience as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So, really, I think right now, definitely Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are really the only ones with a chance. But Joe Biden, as the incumbent president, as long as he chooses to run, he will win the nomination. The Democrats are not going to try to go and nominate someone else when they have, the incumbent president in office, especially considering Joe Biden's popularity right now. So I'm going to start off by filling in the solid states on this map. These are states in which they're going to win by larger than 15 percentage points. There's no way that these candidates lose any of these states. That is just very, very improbable. So for Joe Biden, all of the West Coast and the upper Northeast, Illinois, and Colorado. Colorado, I think, is going to be much bluer in 2024 than it was in 2020. Joe Biden made huge gains in the state in 2020. If you look at the margins here in Colorado, in 2020, Biden won Colorado by 13.5%. In 2016, Clinton won Colorado by less than 5 points. So that's an increase of over 8%, 8.6% of an increase in margin for Colorado. I think definitely in 4 years, Joe Biden can up that increase by 1.5% over the same opponent. So definitely, I think that Colorado will be solid in 2024 for Joe Biden. And then for Donald Trump, definitely not as many states, only with 74 electoral votes worth of states. I've left out some traditionally solid red states just because I think that they're not going to be solid for him in 2024. These are definitely states that they're going to win. So states like Montana, Kansas, Missouri, Mississippi, South Carolina, Indiana, as well as Alaska. These are all states that Donald Trump is definitely going to win. But his margins here were razor thin in 2020 in terms of them being solid. So as you can see, Kansas was not solid. Kansas was actually likely, along with Alaska, which was just 10 points. I mean, in 2008, John McCain even won Alaska by 21 points. But also for Donald Trump, South Carolina was only 11%. Missouri was barely solid at 15.4%. Missouri 16 points, and Montana at 16 points. The state of Indiana as well was just 16 points. Donald Trump won Montana by a larger margin than he won Indiana. And for the state of Indiana, although it's very red, Mike Pence didn't have a big role in this. I think that Mike Pence, being the former governor of the state and being popular in the state of Indiana, definitely did help Donald Trump in the state in both 2016 and 2020. He probably would have won it anyways, but definitely it helped increase his margin there. But Donald Trump is very, very unlikely to win with Mike Pence ever again. So I don't think it's going to be solid under Donald Trump in 2024, which gives him a total of 123 electoral votes from his safe states. Joe Biden has 190. So now I'm going to go over the likely states for the Democratic Party for Joe Biden, starting off with the state of New Mexico. New Mexico was around 10% for Joe Biden in 2020. This isn't increase from 2016, where Clinton only won by 8.2%, but the increase in votes for Joe Biden really was not as large as Colorado, not nearly as large. New Mexico was actually solid for Barack Obama back in 2008. Obama won New Mexico by 15.1% over John McCain, even though the state of New Mexico bordered Arizona, which John McCain won by 8.5%. And I mean, Arizona was the home state of John McCain. He was a senator there for decades. But for Arizona, definitely John McCain did much better than he did in New Mexico. That really is pretty surprising. I mean, even 2012, Obama only won by 10 points. Joe Biden comes back in 2020, wins it by 10.8%. But definitely, I don't think it's enough for him to win it by a solid margin in 2024. Some other likely states for Biden, I have Minnesota on this list. This state has the longest Democratic voting streak. If you look back at every single election map since, I believe, the 60s, the Democrats have always won in the state of Minnesota. Even Jimmy Carter carried it in 1976 by a pretty solid margin, 12.9%, considering how weak he was in many areas of the country. But in 1980, when, of course, he lost to Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter still carried Minnesota, which was surrounded by red states. He did carry his home state of Georgia. That was really the last time Georgia went blue, with the exception of Bill Clinton. But even in 1984, this state did vote for Walter Mondale. This was Walter Mondale's home state, and because of this, this state has the longest Democratic voting streak because every other state voted red in this election. So really, the only blue state was Minnesota. So that is why Minnesota has been blue for such a long time. And in 2024, it's not going to change. There were worries that Minnesota might have flipped red in 2020 at one point because Biden was polling pretty poorly there for a moment in time, but that was just a little blip in the polls. But for 2016, it was definitely close. Clinton only won by 1.5%. That was a historically weak margin for a Democrat in Minnesota. I mean, McMullen won 1.8% there. So a lot of people did not like Hillary Clinton in Minnesota. But in 2020, Joe Biden wins 52% of the vote share there. So Joe Biden won Minnesota by 7.1%. I don't think that's going to go down in 2024. I think that Joe Biden will actually be a stronger candidate than he was, in 2020. So the other likely states I have is, of course, Virginia. This is definitely a likely state. Joe Biden won it by 10.1%. This state has been getting bluer and bluer. I mean, 2008, Obama won it by 6%. Then 2012, Obama won it by just 4%. But that 10% margin for Biden really was a pretty large margin and pretty expected as well. But in 2016, Hillary Clinton only won Virginia by 5.3%, even though, you saw that Tim Kaine was their vice president. Tim Kaine was from the state. He is still a senator from Virginia, but Tim Kaine barely won. They barely won Virginia with Hillary Clinton. So definitely Virginia was weak in 2016 for the Democrats, but 2020, Biden doubled the margin. And the final state was New Hampshire. Biden won by 7.4%. I have this as another likely state. However, in 2020 or 2016, Hillary Clinton only won New Hampshire by 0.3%. So Joe Biden, definitely many of these likely states here, Virginia as well as New Hampshire and Minnesota, Joe Biden definitely increased off of Clinton's margins by a huge amount. And I also have the 2nd District of Maine as likely for Joe Biden, and the 1st District of Nebraska will be likely for Donald Trump. Now, before we go any further, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. So looking at this map now, with the likely and solid states filled in for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump is at 124 electoral votes to Joe Biden at 223 electoral votes. So I do want to actually go over the popularity of Joe Biden for right now. So this is Joe Biden's job approval as of right now. He currently has an 11.4% job approval in the positives. So on average, he is approved of. He's basically approved of in every single approval poll. There has not been a single poll in which Joe Biden is not approved of in. So that's definitely very, very good for the Biden campaign. His numbers are all right. He did, spike at around 16% earlier, and then he, of course, started off with around 20% positive approval, but that's just when he started. His approval numbers have gone down a tiny bit, while his disapproval has definitely gone up quite a bit. But I think that these numbers are acceptable, definitely good considering how polarized politics is right now. But what's really interesting is his job approval on the economy. His approval on the economy is currently plus 12.9%, which is pretty strong considering that this was really the aspect in which most Americans thought Donald Trump was the best in. If you saw any of those exit polls, the only area in which Donald Trump had his chance in against Joe Biden was the economy. It was basically split 50-50, but other aspects like COVID-19 and immigration, Joe Biden was definitely viewed as the stronger candidate. The economy, Donald Trump was, pretty much viewed the same as Joe Biden, but Joe Biden currently has a 12.9% approval in the economy. On foreign policy, he is approved of 7.7%. This is just the United States' relations with other countries. On immigration, this is where Joe Biden falls short, -9% on immigration. This is a result of the border crisis right now and just the huge amount of people crossing the border. So definitely his approval on immigration is definitely very low. On coronavirus, this is the strongest point here, plus 27.6%. And being just how big of a deal COVID-19 is, this is a really important rating here for Joe Biden. I mean, plus 27.6%. I think this is definitely something that can help Biden in 2024 and the Democrats in the Senate in 2022. And finally, I think this is one of the most important numbers, is the direction of the country. This is just how happy Americans are with how the country is doing, where it's going in the future. And currently, the spread is -6.4%. And if you know anything about these ratings, it is very, very high because Americans, over the last couple of years really have not been liking their government very much at all. And if you look at this graph here, Joe Biden has essentially set almost a record in terms of how many people approve of where the country's going. Right now it's at 43.6. It was at it's at 50 in terms of the wrong track. So this is right direction and wrong track. This of course is the country's going well. Wrong track is of course going badly. The highest point was right after Barack Obama's inauguration in 2009, around 46%. But Joe Biden is creeping up to 44, and I think that these numbers could definitely overtake Obama's numbers, because this whole chart really has been positive only once, plus 0. That was the only time it was not negative. So yeah, I think this is definitely good numbers for Joe Biden. As for Trump's favorability, it's at -11.3. Nothing too much to say here. It's pretty average for Donald Trump. So, as you can see, his popularity since he won the GOP nomination has not really changed too much over the last couple of years. So I'm going to continue and fill in some states for Donald Trump. I have Texas as lean for Donald Trump, and I also have Ohio as lean for Donald Trump. I think both these states will be lean in 2024. 2 to 7% margins. For the state of Texas, I think that definitely Donald Trump is going to have an issue in Texas. The margin just keeps going down lower and lower. I could see it being tilt in 2024, but I'm not going to put it as tilt for right now. He did win Texas in 2020 by 5.6%, but looking at the margins, 2016, he won it by 9%, and then 2012, Mitt Romney wins it by 16%. So definitely it's a downward trajectory for Donald Trump in Texas, but I don't think it's going to go down as much. I do think definitely can go under, maybe 3, even maybe 4%. So I think the margin is definitely going to be pretty poor for Donald Trump in Texas. In Ohio, it has been, generally a little bit more blue than Iowa. Of course, both these states did go to Barack Obama in 2012, and there's no way that Joe Biden wins Iowa or Ohio, but I do think that for both of these states, Ohio will be a little bit weaker because I do have Iowa as a likely state. I think that Iowa will be just over 7%, while Ohio will be pretty much just under 7% in 2024. I don't think Donald Trump is going to increase his margin in both of these states, and including Texas, because in 2020, the one state in which Donald Trump did better in 2020 compared to 2016 was the state of Hawaii. Biden won it by 29%. Clinton won Hawaii in 2016 by 31%. Now, New York was 22% in 2016 and was 23%. So New York, even though it wasn't the best margin for Joe Biden, definitely, he still did win it by a pretty strong margin. And yeah, that just says it. The only state that Trump did better in was in Hawaii, because Hawaii has been, getting a little bit more conservative over the last couple of elections. But this gives Biden 223 and Trump now at 188. And I do also want to give Donald Trump the state of Florida. I do think that Trump will win in the state of Florida. This is just a result of, the state of Florida has been, pretty red over the last couple of years. Just specifically, Trump won it by 3.4%. I don't think he'll win it by that much. I think that the margin could definitely go under 2% for 2024, but I don't think that Biden is going to win in Florida. Even though Ron DeSantis is popular there, he still barely won in 2018, and I think the margin that he has in 2022 will be pretty important in looking at the state of Florida for 2024. And then 2016, Trump won by 1.2%, while before this, it was an Obama state by a very small margin. But Florida, even though it does favor the Republicans a little bit, it will always be a swing state for a very long time, and I don't think that will change in 2024. Even though Trump did well here in 2020, a lot can change in 4 years. So this will give Joe Biden 223 now. I do also want to give I do want to get these districts out of the way. The second district is I have lean for Joe Biden. The second district of Maine, I have lean for Donald Trump. So both of them are going to be lean, giving them each one electoral vote. And for the states remaining, I do think most of these projections will all be correct. I really don't see Donald Trump winning any of these blue states or Joe Biden winning any of these red states. Florida, maybe, but the rest, I don't see it. Texas, it's not going to go blue in 2024. On the Senate level, with Beto O'Rourke versus Ted Cruz, maybe, but on the presidential level, I don't see it. Now, as for Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, I have all of them as the same, all as lean. I think that Joe Biden, even though the Rust Belt is not, demographically going too well for the Democrats, people are leaving, and the people who are going there are mostly white, which does not favor the Democrats at all. But I do think that with Joe Biden's performance so far, I think it's definitely a good argument to make that he'll be able to expand his margins in all three of these states. He won Michigan by 2.8% in 2020, 1.2%, I believe, in Pennsylvania, and 0.6% in Wisconsin. You can definitely increase off of those and get that over 2% in 4 years. And then for Georgia, I do think Georgia can be lead in 2024. I think that, the election, the runoffs in early January this year, I think that showed that Trump was not the number one figure in Georgia. He lost it on the presidential level and the Senate. And with Stacey Abrams going to be doing a lot to continue helping the Democrats in the state, I think definitely can turn bluer and bluer. And with her, pretty much, I think that she has a very good chance at the governorship in 2022, running against a pretty unpopular Brian Kemp. I think that for Stacey Abrams, it's definitely possible that she wins in Georgia and reverses many of those voting laws and stuff like that. I think that she'll be able to help the state, for the Democrats, just with the voting and the voter suppression and stuff like that. So that's Georgia. This has put Joe Biden over 270 electoral votes. I do have him winning re-election. I have Nevada as tilt. It was barely won by Joe Biden. The trends here aren't the best for the Democrats. I mean, 2008, Obama won it by 12%, and then in 2012, he won it by just 6%, and then in 2016 and 2020, Nevada was both 2.4% for Clinton and Biden. I think that it could definitely go under 2%. I think that this is a state that Donald Trump can improve in 2024. And then Arizona, I have, just the Democrats' success here. I do think they can continue to hold on to Arizona as the state is still demographically shifting to the left. With Joe Biden's slip here in 2020, I think that with his presidency, he can definitely improve off of that. And then for North Carolina, I have that as the final Biden state. Even though Donald Trump won it in 2020, it was 1.3% compared to in 2016, the margin that he won it by 3.7% over Hillary Clinton. So that'll be it for my 2024 presidential election map between incumbent President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to join my Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. Like this video down below if you enjoyed it. Comment down below who you think would win between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in a 2024 rematch, and subscribe to my channel if you have not. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.